arguably, we may be going through this generation's civil rights movement.
Yes.
Even before George Floyd, there were so many, white officer involved shootings of unarmed black men.
Yeah.
Black men being killed.
Yeah.
Unjustly.
Yeah.
And the list goes on and on. And it's been happening for years now. But this moment, for whatever reason, just exploded on the national consciousness and even globally now.
Yeah.
First of all, your thoughts on
Yeah.
what we have just experienced and witnessed in the past few weeks.
Yeah. For one, it was almost inevitable in that you can't create a system of oppression and suppression for that length of time and not expect that to be expressed in some way, right? I mean, you can only keep a lid on a boiling pot of water for so long before the lid gets blown off. I want to be careful about the analogy here, but the idea is that when you have put that much pressure and you have put that much oppression and violent action, like murdering innocent people, that can only last for so long. Now, we have seen little places where that was expressed in previous settings in significant ways. Occupy Wall Street was probably one of those places in one particular way. But certainly after the death of Michael Brown and Eric Garner, we saw that kind of outlet. I think what we're seeing is, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, where that suppression is felt even more, that it's starting to finally find its expression outward. And I think that's legitimate because, again, you can only suppress and marginalize and oppress people for certain lengths of time. My disappointment is that when the warning signs were there 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the evangelical church didn't take the time to process this information and to be ready now. So I got to be blunt. There are some evangelicals who were ready for this because they have been thinking about this. They have been reading the material. They were ready when this happened, so many of them were out on the streets. Many of them were evangelicals of color who were African-American church leaders or Latino church leaders, Asian-American church leaders. They went out there saying, we want to be a part of this movement because we've been thinking and praying about this for several years now. But many had chosen to bury their head in the sand and said, oh no, we're trying to get more power by voting in the right people. We're trying to get more power through the Supreme Court, without seeing how much that disenfranchisement of power has meant for especially the grassroots, the people on the street, the people who were experiencing these things. So the real ball dropping that evangelicals did was to not have these conversations 5 years earlier. And we're trying to play catch up now, and frankly, it might be too late. And so those who were ready for this conversation are going to lead this conversation. And those who bury their head in the sand and say, oh, we don't have to talk about race, we live in a post-racial America, there's no such thing as race, they're the ones that are going to end up with being caught flat-footed and probably having no relevance to what's going on in their communities.